Hi, my name is Evan, and I'm one of the creators of Plain Jane. Today I wanted to talk about an update for our Prohibition victim discount. So, as some of you might be familiar with, last year we launched a program that allows you to get a permanent, ongoing 20% off discount if you fall into one of the following categories: Prohibition victims, military, or long term disability. Total throughout our three programs, we have 122 people. 18 of those people are fall under the umbrella of prohibition victims. So they were arrested, went to prison, had some sort of legal consequences for a nonviolent drug offense. Uh, Today, I wanted to dive into a little bit more in terms of why do we run this program, um, what we think you guys can do to like help support. What are the efforts that we see are positive and continue to be supported, and just really educate people more on the subject of why we do this. So the first thing I want to point out is the US loves to talk about freedom. I personally am a big believer in freedom, but our actions don't really follow our words. Uh, if you look at any country in the world, like China, Iran, North Korea, we have more people in jail than any other place. I mean, we're approaching 1% of people. It really is insane, right? That 2.3 million people are in a cage right now. And if you want to look at this chart, you can see the breakdown, and you can see that like 200,000 people are in state prisons for drug offenses, right? And another 118,000 are in local jails. Another aspect with this chart that I want to point out is we have so many people in prison that, like, we have more people in prison than China does. Like, not just per capita, but like we have a higher number of people imprisoned than like the largest country on earth, right? Who we don't think is super fond of freedom right now with their death camps. And if we dive deeper into this, right, it's not just the 2.3 million people that are currently behind bars. It's 7 million people who are involved somehow with the justice system. Now, most people, right, are on probation or on parole. They're not confined, they're not prisoners, but they're still affected by the judicial system. They still have to undergo extraordinary measures of compliance, and they're unable to do so many things that we take for granted, right? So it's not just the 2.3 million people that are currently behind bars. It's also the people that just got out, right? Or avoided going in, but suffered different consequences for their drug use. Just to get an idea of like how many people 7 million is, this would be more people than Finland or Denmark or Singapore, um, right around Lebanon. You know, it's basically like the same number of people that's in Hong Kong, right? It's really close. That's the number of people that the United States has somehow wrapped up in our judicial system, either on parole, on probation, or in jail. That's insane. That's so many people. And, we feel that uh, it's almost really fucking obvious at this point that the war on drugs is fucking stupid, especially when it comes to cannabis, right? It's like it's better in every single way. I mean, to have a legalized market, it's crazy. And besides the 7 million people that are directly involved in the judicial system, that are directly involved, right? It's their name on the paperwork. There's also the social network around them, right? People have family, like everyone, you have parents, you have kids, you have spouses. Uh, all sorts of other people in your life whose lives get impacted by this bullshit. And there's this great paper here. It's from 2001. What it really talks about is we don't have a rehabilitation system. We have an incarceration system, or maybe a justice system, and we don't care about the ripple effects from it, right? We're not doing the things that try to make our society better. It's if you wanted to look at the 7 million number, that really underestimates how many people have their lives impacted by this over this militarization of our police and the privatization of our prison system. It's insane. I think it's one of the largest issues facing our country. So you might be asking what you can do. If you kind of support these issues, I'd say like the number one thing is being educated, educating other people. I was just in Tennessee like a month ago, and man, that's like, people are so scared to even admit that they smoke weed, and it's like 25% of people, right? So everywhere you go, there's like, if you meet more than four people, you're gonna if you meet four people, you're gonna at least meet one person who smokes weed. The drug war is not only this mass incarceration tool, but it is also specifically pointed at minorities, with black people getting the worst of it. We have to get people out of jail. We have to decriminalize. We have to create medical programs, especially in the states that don't have them yet. If you think you live in a state where everything's cool and cannabis crimes aren't a problem anymore, like, fight for expungement. Even if it becomes legal in your state, you can still have a record. And if you have a record, you can still be on probation for this shit. There are people in jail that are in legal states. Like, it's insane. So first of all, let's get these people out of prison and let's expunge their records because they didn't commit a crime, right? Or something that a reasonable society should view as a crime. I think expungement of records, it's like the first of many steps of reintegrating people in society. It allows people to get jobs easier. Not every legal state is expunging records. Not even every legal state is getting people out of prison or stopping to arrest everyone, especially if it's like a medical only state. So there's a lot of effort and work that has to be done to continue to fight for legalization, even if the state has already legalized. Even in the most friendly states. So like, let's talk about California, the pioneer of smoking weed in the United States. There are cities like Oakland and San Francisco that have awesome programs that help give people impacted by prohibition an advantage to get licenses for businesses. Really, it's an effort to help turn what were communities plagued by drug dealing into ones with small businesses, where instead of people with lots of capital coming in, rich white people buying all the licenses and opening all the dispensaries, making it easier for other people. And they call these equity programs. Now, not all of them are structured in an awesome way where it's good for community and you don't want people just to be tokens and stuff like that. We should really fight for equity programs, especially as different areas become legalized, because it's a big opportunity to create a bunch of small businesses instead of like a few large conglomerates. And I think that's really cool. Here in Oregon and California, there aren't a bunch of gigantic chains of dispensaries. I mean, they are starting to consolidate a little bit, but most of the dispensaries are owned by someone that only owns one or two. And that's pretty cool to see that sort of small business. Those small businesses should be able to have accessibility to those who are most impacted by the war on drugs. The last thing that I want to leave you guys with is just a reminder about our program, where if you think that there's even a slight chance that it applies to you, you got like a citation or something for some paraphernalia. If If you had to deal with some prohibition bullshit, reach out to us. We'd love to put you in our program. The same for our military service members, both current and veterans, people with long-term disabilities. Our goal is to kind of help out all these groups. Yeah, we'll keep it going. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Stay tuned for the next one.